Welcome back to the Money Focus Podcast. I'm your host, Moses the Mentor. And on this episode, I have the pleasure of bringing you guys Hannah Ingram. She's a savvy, passive income investor who's mastered the art of acquiring businesses like car washes with little to no money down, transforming challenges into opportunities. So join us as she shares her journey from a fledgling real estate agent to a successful entrepreneur. The first thing I would love to ask you is to really walk us through your career journey, your professional journey, ultimately what led you to start your business. So the floor is yours.
Yeah. So my name's Hannah. I'm 25 currently, and it all started when I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and had never really given real estate a thought. My family wasn't involved in real estate. Didn't have any influences other than when I started reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, real estate investment books, self-help books, stuff like that. And then I was like, wow, okay, real estate is truly the way to wealth, honestly. So many benefits. Real estate makes more millionaires than any other industry in the US. And so that's where I went full force into real estate. And so out of high school, I started emailing appraisers and brokers, begging for them to just let me come work for them for free for the summer. Fresh out of high school as soon as I graduated. And I was working at a glass factory, 12-hour shifts whenever I graduated a couple years after. And finally, someone gave me an opportunity to come work for them for free. I didn't hesitate. I started working with the secretary, answering the phone, putting listings in the MLS, job shadowing agents, and I was learning a lot about the back end of the real estate business. So learned a ton there. I got my real estate license as soon as I turned 18. And from there, I started working with buyers and sellers, trying to find ways to invest. And I always had this assumption that I'm going to have to save up $40,000, $50,000 to invest and get my first property. I'm going to have a ton of capital to do that. And I was like, that's going to take me forever, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to save up. And 5, 6, 7, 8 years, I can invest in something. So that's what I was doing. I was putting money away. I used to sell wasp spray in the summertime, and I would split and cut firewood, deliver it in the wintertime. I was just grinding. I would mow yards, anything and everything to make $1, I was doing it. And so eventually I kept reading books, kept watching, videos, studying millionaires and billionaires. And I was like, it occurred to me that I need to make my money work for me, not me work for my money. And so that's exactly what I started looking at doing. And so I was like, okay, well, what business models are there where I don't have to be physically there, clocked in to earn a paycheck, where my money can work for me? And I was like, okay, car washes and laundromats are perfect. They're open 24/7. I can literally be making money in my sleep, and they require minimal effort and time to maintain, which that's the whole definition of passive income. Income that requires little to minimal effort and time to maintain. And so once I found that out, that's where the whole pursuit of these specific businesses started. And if I could go back to my 18-year-old self, I would tell myself to stop trying to do drop shipping, stop trying to do Amazon FBA, all these get rich quick overnight schemes that are out there, and focus on buying a passive income producing property.
I mean, that's a great breakdown. I do have a question because, you're so young. 25 doing your thing. But what I like to hear is that at 18, you were hungry. Most people at 18, they're, going into being a freshman in college, and, they kind of feel like this is high school squared. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're still thinking like a kid for the most part. What was it about you that really kind of made you think about, really money and just your future at such a early age where most people are kind of struggling with adulthood? How did you transition so quickly to make that decision?
Yeah, so I just knew like working a 9 to 5 was not for me. I did go to college for a couple years. I dropped out because I was just like, no, this is just not what I want to do. I want to be my own boss. And honest to goodness, I want to enjoy the luxuries of life. Like all the luxuries life has to offer, I want them. So I don't want to not be able to afford anything or be limited to only one vacation a year, and who can tell me when I can take time off, how much money I can make. I wanted that freedom. And I didn't really start from the bottom like so many people say they do. You know, I wasn't in poverty or anything, thankfully. I came from a middle-class family, but I also didn't have any handouts. I didn't have a big inheritance or anything. So yeah, like you said, I was very hungry, but that came really from just wanting true financial freedom for myself and be able to travel where I want, when I want, with who I want, live where I want, have as many Lamborghinis as I want. And so that was the big motivator behind that hunger and my drive.
That's cool. That's cool. But, you know, I don't knock people with education. I have a college degree. My wife is a PhD, but I do feel like a plan is more important than a degree. And you're a perfect example of that because your plan didn't require you to have a degree. Your plan required you to get education in a different way, you know, mentors, you know, like you said, you were willing to work for free. So, you know, what that taught you was so much more than what you would have learned in college because that wasn't your future. Now, if you want to be a physician, you have to go to college. You see what I'm saying? But you wanted to be a hungry entrepreneur that's passive income streams so you can drive your Lamborghinis and go on your vacations.
Exactly.
That does not require college.
Exactly. And like my sister just graduated college. I could not be more happier for her, honestly. Because, you know, she's going to be a teacher and everything. That's awesome. It's not for me. It's not for me. So, like you said, very good for those that want it. But for those that don't, if you have a plan, go for it.
I know you mentioned, you know, passive income streams. Was there anything else about the car wash industry, the car wash business that, you know, made you want to, you know, pursue that as one of the businesses that you targeted?
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it. It was the passive income aspect of it. I don't have to be managing people, you know, employees. I don't have a big firm that I'm over. And it's a lot of fun to own a business and rebrand and make your own logo and have your own color scheme. And I've made so many friends with the customers down there. And so it's just been a lot of fun, honestly, doing it, making it my own and having like a tangible piece of real estate that I could actually pass down to my kids one day and so on and so forth. This isn't just a drop shipping store that's going to phase out in 6 months or whatever. This is an actual business and an actual piece of real estate. So, and you know, I like to always have the aspect of, you know, I could sell it at any time if I wanted to, can borrow against it, cash out equity. So real estate is honestly just one of the best investments all the way around.
And you mentioned, you know, in your breakdown, you know, saying that you thought you had to save $50,000-$60,000, which is no drop in the bucket. You know, maybe for you now, but back then and for most of my listeners, you know, 50, 60,000 is a lot. Is that truly what it takes to actually purchase a car wash, or are there some other alternative options that, you know, someone listening can say, hey, I can buy a car wash today? Like realistically, what do you need to actually purchase a car wash?
Yeah, so if you go the traditional route where you go to the bank and you get a loan, they're going to want you to put at least 20 to 25% of the total purchase price down, liquid cash. So that's pretty big. A lot of people don't have that. And so that is exactly what stopped me as well. And that's what stops most people. That's what would probably stop 98% of people listening right now, is the perfect credit needed in that big down payment. And so whenever I went to buy this car wash, that's where my problem lied, was not having the down payment. And I did have good credit, but I didn't have good credit history because I was like 21, 22. And so that is where the creative financing method comes in. And in a nutshell, that is where the seller already has a loan on the property. You come in and you assume that loan, or you make their loan yours, essentially. So you promote the seller from business owner to investor. They can make money by letting you take over their loan. They don't have to deal with the business anymore. You now become the business owner. It's your business. You're collecting the money and you're keeping what's left over after paying the seller's loan, the seller, and any expenses of the business. So great way to get started when you don't have that down payment or you don't have credit to actually make this happen with a traditional loan from a commercial lender or a bank.
Is there a particular route that you recommend over the other? Like if someone does have the credit in the down payment? Does it make sense to go the bank route, or would you always suggest, doing off market and creative
Yeah,
finance?
I would always do any time of the day I can do seller finance, or subject to is really the technical term for this. I would do it. And I would also sell that way too. If I can find a buyer to where I can, sell something to someone sub to, or seller finance, I'm doing it all day long. It's just better. Closing times way faster, cuts out a lot of those third parties that get in the way, appraisers, underwriters, lenders, real estate agents, all that stuff. It's just easier overall. And you can make a lot more money in a big win-win deal for not only the buyer, but the seller as well.
What's the best way to find a car wash? Like, are you driving around? Is there a certain list you should look for? How would someone go about finding a car wash that might be a good candidate for creative finance?
Yeah, so I teach 3 methods. The first one is just pretty self-explanatory, using commercial search engines such as loopnet.com, Crexy.com. The driving for dollars method also works extremely well. That's where you just get in your car, go around to different businesses, and slide a handwritten note underneath the door. Very general, that just says, hey, my name's Hannah. I live close to your car wash or your laundromat. I was wondering if you'd be interested in selling, if you could get a price for it that you'd be happy with. And slide that under the door, leave your name and number. You'd be amazed at the callbacks you get from that. I just had a student literally buy his first laundromat using this method, and he's got 4 more leads from, he just littered his whole town with these letters. Works very well. And then also the cold calling method, which is where you just simply call up businesses in your area, just literally cold calling them, asking them if they'd be interested in selling, much like the letter, if they'd be interested in selling, if they could get a price for it that they'd be happy with. So those are the 3 methods I teach, kind of in a nutshell there, without going into major detail.
And like you said, most people would be surprised at the amount of responses that they would get, right?
Sure.
So, I mean, are there particular reasons why? Are these, older people that are looking to retire, kids that inherited a business that they don't want? Like, what kind of persona per se, like, do you run into that are more attractive, like motivated sellers?
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. So there are 75 million baby boomers, with 10,000 of them retiring every single day. So there is an influx right now of people retiring. We've not seen a population influx like the baby boomers since, the baby boomer generation. So there has never been a better time to go out there and get a car wash or laundromat. The opportunities are endless right now. And I'm always like, hey guys, like, get on this now, like, stop waiting, because this is going to be saturated in 2027, 2028. So do this now before it is, and take advantage of all these people retiring that we're doing deals with. Now, it's not always retirees. You've got people maybe going through a divorce, moving out of state, they've taken on a new job. Deals happen every single day, closings happen every day, but we're seeing such an influx of the 65 and plus community. They're physically unable to do it anymore. They're just looking to retire and hang it up. Their kids don't want it. Grandkids aren't old enough to pass it down to, what have you. There's so many opportunities right now for these deals.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that a lot. And I mean, the data shows that everything you're saying is absolutely correct. So, and a lot of times, if you have a business, say you have a car wash, and you've been running it for 40 years, your kids may not want to do that.
Right.
That might not be their passion. Yeah. So don't just assume that, everyone wants to hand down a business to their children. They might want the cash to live on. They might want the cash to, disperse to family or something like that. So it could be a good opportunity to get in with those motivated sellers.
Exactly.
For sure. One thing I want to make sure I don't gloss over for the audience, because I have a little bit of experience with commercial real estate, but more from housing. When you say that from a seller finance perspective, that you're able to reach out to a potential seller and work with them directly, and you said, hey, you can get them the price that they want. Can you talk a little bit more about that, just to make sure people have a clear understanding why it's beneficial sometimes for the seller to do seller financing versus traditional financing?
Yeah.
If you can just share that, because what is your selling points to a seller to say, oh, who's this 25-year-old trying to buy my business?
Yeah.
Why should they, allow you to purchase versus someone who might come in with a bank pre-approval letter? Like, what are the benefits for a seller to work with you?
Right. Really, the main thing is how much more money that they're going to be able to make by doing owner finance, sub two. So they're going to be making interest off of letting you take over their loan, which is why I said earlier, you're promoting them from business owner to investor. They're sitting back. They don't have to do a thing. You can take this business off their hands. They don't have to show up and take the trash out anymore. They're completely hands off and they're collecting a check every single month. Not only that, but normally we can get them the purchase price that they want. So we're trading them their purchase price that they want, and they're giving us the terms that we want. So we meet in the middle, we make a win-win deal. Our terms are we're doing seller finance with maybe a 2-3 year balloon, something like that. And then they're getting the purchase price that they want as well. But you've got other things like how quick the turnaround time is. Most commercial closings are anywhere from 60 to 90 days, super long. We can come in with a contract for deed and have that thing closed in 14 days, maybe sooner. And then also you've got some different tax benefits, like they don't get hit with that huge capital gains tax right up front there like you would with a traditional loan. So mainly the big thing is making sure my students are educated to where they can sit down with someone and show them the benefits, because a lot of people maybe don't know about creative finance or don't know how this is, but you also want to show the seller from a safety standpoint that, hey, if I default on my payment, you get to take the business back, sell it, you can keep it if you want, do whatever you want, and you get to keep any payments I made you, any part of your loan I paid down, and you get to keep that. Any improvements I made to the property, they're now your improvements as well. So very not much risk involved in your part, because just like the banks, if we quit paying, the bank's going to come take our car back or they're going to come take our house back. So it's really, truly a huge win for the seller in any aspect you look at this. And so making sure people are educated enough to sit down and tell sellers that is really very important whenever you're meeting with someone.
Yeah, thanks for breaking that down. It's in a nutshell, it's, your price, my terms. And when you do that, it can be a truly a win-win. So, I great way you broke it down. You broke it down much better than I could have.
Absolutely. And that's the thing with these sellers sometimes with the purchase price, they think that you're going to come in and lowball them. They think that you're like, oh, this is my baby. You're not going to want to give me what it's worth. Usually we can, unless you're just like $300,000 over what it truly is worth, then you're going to have to be more realistic. But usually we can come in and give them the purchase price they want. We don't have to come in and undercut someone $150,000 and insult them. We can usually work that out. So that's why it's so important on that note where I said, I was wondering if you'd be interested in selling, if you can get a price for it that you'd be happy with, because usually we can work that out. And if the price is right, anything is for sale. So that's a big pointer there.
When you first started the process of, acquiring your car washes and laundries, what was the biggest obstacle that you faced and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, so the biggest obstacle was mainly just making sure that I knew the material backwards and forwards to where I was absolutely bulletproof when I could approach someone, any objection they gave me. Like nowadays, you can throw any objection at me and I can answer it and find a workaround for it. There's nothing that anyone couldn't throw at me that I wouldn't know how to handle. So that really just comes with repetition, getting out there, shaking hands with people. A lot of times these business owners are super friendly. They're very nice. They're easy to deal with. So it's really not that bad, but just learning the ins and outs of the business and stuff like that. Like I had to go through a lot of trial and error, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of failures, and really learn the game of real estate on my own, which now, of course, I've condensed that and I teach that. But just getting through those ups and downs. And I love the quote by Winston Churchill that says, true success is going from failure to failure with no lack of enthusiasm, because I tried to make everything work. Drop shipping, I've said that like 4 times, but I put so much money into drop shipping and all these different things, Forex, cryptocurrency, you name it. I've tried it all. and to still be hungry and not give up on the lifestyle that I wanted after all those failures and thousands of dollars wasted, time wasted, and to be able to make something like this work and now help others, it really means a lot.
Great story of resilience. So good job. As far as day-to-day operations, so let's walk through the process. So you kind of talked us through, acquiring a laundry. The closing can go a whole lot faster if it's creative. You have the laundry. How do you, what do you teach as far as day-to-day operations? Do you need to get a manager, or truly is it one of those things you can set in it?
Yeah. So for the first couple years, I did all the work myself. Just last August, I hired it out. So I hardly ever go there anymore. But, you're looking at about 20 to 30 minutes a day. The only time I was ever there more than that was when I had to restock my vending machines. I had 6 vending machines on site. That would take a little bit longer. But, it's really not that bad. And if you do decide to hire someone, it's not going to cost you a lot because, again, they're only spending 20 to 30 minutes a day. They're not even spending a whole hour a day at your property. So that's really a big plus in this for sure.
So what about like the actual like materials and stuff like that? Is that kind of included, that 20, 30 minutes? I'm sure like the soaps and all that type of stuff. Like like, how does that work? Are there certain vendors that you need to engage with? People to clean the facility? Walk us through some of like your costs.
Yeah, for sure. So, the daily aspects of it, you may go there and fill up the change machine, pull the dollar bills out of the machine, hang the vacuum hoses back up. They're always throwing them down, sweep the parking lot, take the trash out, just different things like that. And so it's stuff that's not very time consuming. Maybe someone washed out grass or mud in a bay. You got to hose that down. And sometimes it'll rain and it won't be a very busy day. You'll be there 5 minutes and you're gone. But a lot of people ask me, they're like, well, how much does a utility bill run for that? That's my biggest fear is the utility bill, that water running and everything. And I tell them, I'm like, well, I love when my utility bills are high. Like, I want a $600 utility bill because the more power that's pulled and water used and electricity to my vacuums, the more money I've made. So the only time power is getting pulled is when someone's put money in the meter to start up something. So I love a high utility bill. If I get a $600 utility bill in May and I had a $400 one in April, I made more money in May at the end of the day. So that just comes from, being a business. Your income needs to exceed your expenses. So when I started, when I bought the car wash, it was $1.25 to start. And I was like, okay, all the other car washes around me are $2. So I need to get it up to market value. But in the condition that the car wash was in, it wasn't worth $1.25. There was soaps not working, stuff like that. The brushes need to be replaced. It just wasn't worth $2. So when I came in there, I started fixing stuff, making stuff better, set aside a little bit of money every month, and would always put about 10% back into the business. So if I made $3,000, I would take $300. I'd put new brush heads on, get new signs made. It looks really good now because of how consistent I've been in doing that. And now, just recently, I've got it to the point where it is worth $2. It's actually worth more $2, but I'm going to stay at market value. But I'm over delivering now. Everything works good. I always have good customer service. If someone lost $1 in a machine, I give them $5 back and an air freshener. So, just things like that. Your income needs to exceed your expenses. At the end of the day, that's business 101 for sure.
That kind of rolls into my next question. I was going to ask you about, how do you, make your car washes more profitable? So it sounds like, just really, making the place look better, number one, and great customer service, improving your equipment. You said you had vending machines on site. Is there anything else that you do that kind of, increases profitability on your side?
So biggest thing with a car wash or laundromat is keeping the place clean. When they walk into a laundromat or they pull up at your car wash, you want to make sure that it's a good impression, that, the trash isn't overflowing into the parking lot, that the parking lot just looks terrible, there's stuff strewn everywhere, that the bays aren't super muddy, and you do it the best you can. But that is really the main thing. And also, like I said, good customer service. They lose $1, I give them 5. So they made $4 if something's going wrong or something like that. And then yes, the vending machines are huge. Not only is that a convenience for them, but the markups on vending machines are usually pretty good. So I still sell stuff like glass cleaner, tire shine, Armor All wipes, air fresheners, just things that all these little things that are a convenience to them make me a lot of money as well. And then, like I said, I rebranded. I got a brand new logo. It looks really good. Got new signs. I mean, those signs were there from the 90s. So new signage. And just recently, last year, I added credit card readers, which have been great because people are carrying cash less and less nowadays. So having those credit card readers in there have definitely boosted sales for sure.
You mentioned, from the 90s and things like that. Like, what's the typical life cycle of car wash equipment? Like, how often should someone, expect to refresh their equipment? It's like a 5-10 year cycle.
It really just depends. Like, I think a lot of it's based on how well you take care of it. So, instead of letting the oil in the air compressor go 5 years without being changed and your air compressor blows up, change it once a year. Do some preventative maintenance on it every once in a while. And, let the prolong the life of your air compressor or stuff like that. So, have pride in your business, take care of your stuff, and do preventative maintenance, and it'll save you a lot of money in the long run. So that's really it just really depends on how well you're taking care of your stuff.
Makes sense. What would you say? I know you mentioned the utility bill. Are there any other misconceptions about owning a car wash that you'll be more than willing to share and help clean up for the audience?
Yeah. So a lot of people are like, well, nobody goes to a car wash in the wintertime. And I've got a video on my Instagram or maybe my TikTok. It's got I think a combined total across all my platforms, it's got maybe 15 million views. But it's me pulling out a huge pail of coins in February. It's 30 degrees outside. And it says, in the joking tone, car washes don't make money in the winter. And it's all these coins dumping out that I've made in the wintertime. And so people think, oh, they're not going to come use it in the winter. But let me tell you, when I get a snow day, it is it's better than a hot summer day when it snows. So, people in the north, they may make more in the wintertime than they make in the summer. Whereas I'm in the south, I usually bring in more in the summer than the winter. But yes, they do use businesses less in the winter, like car washes and laundromats. However, I'm still making money. People are still using the business. So whereas maybe I made $5,000 net in July, I may make $3,000 net in December, right? So yeah, I didn't make $5,000, but I'm not crying because I still made $3,000, right? So the margins may get a little slimmer. I'm still just as profitable. And like I said, those people up north kill it in the wintertime because there's constantly salt on the roads.
Very true. Very true. I got a question. So I'm into real estate. A typical property, like a rental property, a few $100s a month in net cash flow is considered pretty good, and I invest in Cleveland. I typically get on the higher end, probably about 400 or 500 for each unit that I invest in. What could someone realistically expect to make from a car wash? Is it could you essentially have one car wash and, not have to work, or do you need a combined 2 or 3 maybe for you to say, hey, I might need to quit my job or whatever?
Yeah. So it really honestly just comes down to how busy the location is, how much money it's making. If you make $40,000 a year and you can get one business that's making $45,000 a year, congratulations, you've just replaced your income from your job, right? But then, you may get one that's making $20,000 a year, another one that's making, $15,000 a year. So just different things like that where some may be more profitable than others. So you always want to base your purchase price of the business based on the net income of what the business is producing. And I've gotten really good at being able to take some financials, analyze those, and see how I can double, triple, even quadruple the income, seeing what they're spending on that maybe isn't needed, things like that. So it's really nice with these businesses. If you have a rental property, that you kind of have a ceiling on how much you can make, right? So you rent that one rental property out, it's rented, And you can only go so high before you price yourself out of a tenant. You know, you can't be charging $2,000 a month for something that's bringing in $800 in your area. But with the car wash or laundromat, I don't have a ceiling to how many customers can use those businesses. I don't have a ceiling. I mean, of course, I could price myself out, but I can raise prices. I can always make things better around the property. I can always add stuff to make money, like even ice vending machines. I could rent out, let a food truck sit there. I've done that before to make extra money. So you can start a detailing business and a car wash or a wash and fold service at a laundromat. So having these businesses gives you so many more opportunities to maximize your cash flow. You could get a laundromat or a car wash making $20,000 a year, add a detailing business in there if you wanted to, and double that, and then quit your job. You know what I mean? So there's so much potential with what you can do with a business.
That sounds great. I need to get me a car wash.
Come on, let's get you one.
Or laundry. Yeah, we need to. You know, as far as like location, what best practices would you give to people as far as a location? Are you, for a car wash, self-serve car wash, should you be in a more, you know, high-end neighborhood, or does it make sense to be in more in a working class neighborhood? Like, what advice would you give someone as far as location?
Yeah, so I mean, location is very important. You want to be, of course, on a heavily traveled road if you can. The easier it is to get in and out, the better. But at the end of the day, I always like to base my decisions off of what the business is producing and, you know, any potential that I see it producing as well. So a lot of people are like, well, I'm looking at this car wash, but there's a car wash that's like 5 minutes down the road too. That's too close. Like, I don't know if I should buy it. There's a car wash 2 minutes down there. I can almost see that car wash from my car wash, but the money, if it makes money, it makes sense. So there may be enough business to sustain both. Like, it, you know, you've got to look at the numbers with this stuff. Yes, location is important. What's the potential of the business? Can I improve prices? Is there something I can come in here and do better than the current owners? And what do the finances look like at the end of the day?
That's information you would have to, you know, get from the seller.
Correct.
I'm assuming. So, you know, once you put an offer in and I guess your due diligence period, you're able to see the financials and you can, you know, kind of make a firm price based off what they're making.
Yeah, exactly. And when you ask the seller for financials, a little tip for you guys, they may make you want to sign what's called an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. That just means that you're going to go out there and you're not going to post their business on Facebook or tell your friends and your family what all the local car wash is making. If they're kind of sketchy about giving you financials, then you offer the NDA. Be like, hey, I'll sign an NDA. I'm not going to tell your business. This is solely just so that I can come in and make a, you know, good decision based on what your business is making. So that's the best way to do that. And a lot of people will send you their financials in a spreadsheet, sometimes even written out. And a good way to verify is through bank statements. So, you know, once you get towards the end of the road, you've got a deal worked out, you've seen the financials, ask them for bank statements to confirm what it is they sent you on the spreadsheet that they gave you. So, you know, because anybody can make up numbers on a spreadsheet, but bank statements are a great way to verify that, just to give yourself peace of mind.
You know, I'm assuming people might have some pushback here and there, but I mean, it's not one of those things you get that far in the process. If they're really serious about selling, if it was me, I would just go ahead and provide it. And if I do have to lower the price, it just is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Like, you know, the people that come back and they're like, I'm not showing you my financials. Well, what is there to hide? Like, what are you hiding then? You know, if you sign an NDA, you can't go out there and tell it. So, like, why aren't you providing financials? You either want to sell it or you don't. And if you're going to sell it the traditional way anyways, the bank's going to want to see the financials. The buyer's going to want to see the financials. So you're not going to ever be able to sell a business without coughing up your financials. So either do it now or do it later, but it's going to happen. So
with commercial real estate, it's all about how you operate the business. It's not based off comps like with, you know, residential real estate, traditional side. So if you buy, you know, a business and it's making $20,000, you know, a year, but you see the potential for it to make $100,000 a year, your value of your business is not based off the car wash down the street. You know, it's not comp based. It's based off truly what you can do to improve the income for that operation. So that's why when you said things like, vending machines and renting out space for a food truck. I mean, these are all additional income streams that will help grow the value of your business.
100%.
That's great for sure. Aside from car washes, you mentioned laundry. Are there any other passive income streams, businesses that you specialize in and teach your students?
Yeah, so my big three is really car washes, laundromats, and vending machines. Vending machines are also a great way to get passive income. You know, a friend of mine's making a little over $200 a day from his vending machine. So that's awesome. And vending machines are extremely easy to find, and like find a location for one. Like, you could watch this on a Monday and by Saturday have a location and a vending machine set up. Very, very quick turnaround time with vending machine. So that's why I really like those two. I've learned something. I've learned how to do it very well, and I replicate it. I just rinse and repeat, and I don't stray from that. I don't try to start 10 things at once. I don't dabble in other things. I rinse and repeat what I know works and what is tried and true. And that's really my method.
What I like about like all three that you listed, those are all things that I, aspire to do. So I'm definitely probably going to be a student of yours. I like it because, even though I have a YouTube channel and, I hope it blows up and does well, but it's one of those things that can be, it can happen or it might not happen, right? But with a rental property, I'm always going to have somebody that needs housing. If you have a car wash, it's a great chance people are going to need to wash their car. You have a laundry, it's a great chance people need to wash their clothes. And, with your vending machine operation, the way you do it very strategic and with your existing businesses. So if I'm there washing my car, hey, let me get some Armor All. If I'm in the laundry and I forgot to buy some washing detergent, there it goes. It's right there. Like, so it's all of those things are really like part of your day-to-day life. And it doesn't matter if you like me personally or anything like that. You think I'm talented or creative or anything like that. It's really about empowering people to do the things they would do anyway, and that's why I like these businesses. And then you add on to the fact that they're passive and you really don't need 1,000 employees to make money. I think these businesses that you specialize in are great. And anybody that's listening, you definitely need to tap into Hannah, which leads into my next question. If someone was ready today to start acquiring the knowledge that you have, what are some steps that they need to take to tap into?
Yeah, absolutely. So first things first, they need to go look me up on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, any of those, and click the link that's in my bio. That's going to take them straight to a free training that I do. I get on there and I teach people the creative financing method very in depth. I go through the 3 property hunting methods I told you very in depth. They'll send me pictures after they get off my free training of just pages and pages of notes that they've taken. Value after value after value. So that is really the best place to start. And I also have a ton of free content on my YouTube, on my Instagram, and on my TikTok. So soak up all that as well. There's so many free resources for you out there that I've given away. So
one of the videos I seen from you, I was like, man, when I seen all those quarters and that when you were emptying the machines out, that was motivation in itself. I said, man, that's nice to just show up to work, pull my cash out, and haven't done anything but just, stand up a business. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Absolutely.
So,
and a lot of people want to argue with me online. They're like, oh, that's not passive income. That's a job. Well, no, a job is like I'm clocked in, have to be trading my time for money. I have to be physically at a job to collect a paycheck at the end of the week. I'm sitting here right here with you. There could be 8 or 9 cars down at the car wash right now making me money. And my employees will go there around 5 o'clock when they get off work and take care of everything. And then I'll go there and collect the money. So it really is like, I cannot think of a better investment, hands off, that's not going to take much of your time than a car wash or a laundromat, truly.
All right. Well, appreciate you breaking that down. What final thoughts or advice would you like to give the audience? And also just, make sure to shout out your website or the best way to contact you if it's social media, shout that out again. And, just really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Yeah. So my Instagram is at the Hannah Ingram. My TikTok is just Hannah_Ingram. You can just search Hannah Ingram on YouTube. I'll pop right up. And you can also go to buyoneinstead.com. And that's a great place to start. But again, once you get to my social medias, click the link in my bio. That'll take you straight to the free training. And I do those live as well. So I'm on there answering questions, engaging with you guys. Like, I'll usually stay an hour after the training and answer questions. I bring on live testimonials of past students, stuff like that. We really just have one big conversation. It's a lot of fun, honestly. Come ask me your questions. And it's a lot of fun. And so I hope to see you guys watching on one of those free trainings soon.
Perfect. Make sure you check out Hannah so you can learn all about car washes, laundromats, and just passive income in general. So thank you again for joining the Money Focus podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate
it.